This is CBN NewsWatch.
Welcome to this special edition of CBN NewsWatch. I'm Lori Johnson. In this half hour, I will report on all things dealing with health. We begin with a new wave of prescription drugs breaking ground by helping patients lose unwanted pounds, address type 2 diabetes, and reduce the risk of deadly heart problems. Doctors view these prescription weight loss medications as game changers. You may have heard of Ozempic or Wegovy, and now there are Mounjaro and Zepbound. Studies show these drugs can help users lose an average of between 5 and 20% of their body weight, even if patients have had many unsuccessful attempts.
Because I've tried it for 25 years, and something is out there that can help.
Kelly Burns credits Zepbound for helping her lose nearly 100 pounds.
I get upset when I hear, people say, oh, well, diet. I see that all the time. Just go on a diet, exercise. Maybe you won't be so heavy. And that is not how it works. It's not how it works. Some people need help, like myself.
All 4 drugs target the body's hormones to increase the feeling of fullness, decrease hunger, and slow the GI tract. They're FDA approved to treat type 2 diabetes, obesity, or both. The drug company Novo Nordisk makes Ozempic and Wegovy, which contain the active ingredient semaglutide that targets one hormone. Eli Lilly's Mounjaro and Zepbound contain tirzepatide, which targets 2 hormones, and research suggests they lead to more dramatic weight loss. All 4 drugs are administered through weekly injections. Many patients pay over $1,000 a month out of pocket for the treatments. Despite the cost, desire is leading to drug shortages.
Fact of the matter is, there's a lot of factors that go into the conditions of overweight and obesity. It's a complex, chronic condition. It's not as simple as eating less and moving more, so they do have a major role. But insurance does not oftentimes cover them. They're incredibly expensive, and they have to be managed by someone who's familiar with this class of medications.
Like all medications, these carry some possible side effects. The most common ones are nausea, constipation, and abdominal pain.
Doing my second shot of Mounjaro.
Heather Winterstein lost 92 pounds over 11 months, and that's not all.
It not only changed my weight, but it literally changed my health. I mean, going from having super high blood pressure, high cholesterol, being on 4 different medications for both of those conditions, also being pre-diabetic.
Research shows Ozempic and Wegovy lower the risk of death from heart attack or stroke by 20% after 3 years.
We're working with payers and insurance companies and employers, who are often the people who pay for medicines, to make sure they cover it for their patients, for their employees and their customers who are patients, so that they don't have to pay out of pocket. That's our goal.
I just hope that insurance companies catch up really quickly, because this is absolutely life-changing medication.
Well, itchy eyes, runny nose, and constant sneezing. 1 in 4 Americans suffers from seasonal allergies. I looked at ways to ease the misery. This time of year, pollen often becomes public enemy number 1, and it's floating all around, mainly from trees, grass, and weeds. Our level of discomfort often depends on where we live. Here in Virginia Beach, we really have a tough time because this is the 2nd worst city in America for seasonal allergies, right behind Wichita, Kansas. Rounding out the top 5, Greenville, South Carolina, Dallas, and Oklahoma City. The good news is you can find ways to minimize symptoms.
We all like that fresh spring air to come in, but what's in that air? Pollen. So keep that out.
That means staying inside, closing windows, and turning on the air conditioner. When you do go out, remember that pollen is a magnet and will stick to your clothes, hair, and skin. When you go back in the house, you can avoid spreading it by changing clothes and taking a shower.
I always tell my patients to keep an allergy-free zone in their house, and that should be the bedroom, because that's where you spend the most time and that's where you sleep.
Frequently wash your sheets in hot water, and pets can bring in pollen from the outside as well.
You want to take your pets, your loving animals, out of your bed, because that also is a slew of allergenic antigens that will cause allergic reactions and respiratory issues.
An air purifier can also help.
Use a HEPA filter with a carbon filtration system. That combination is the best to clean the air inside.
When it comes to treatment, experts say allergy shots tend to work best.
And it increases the immune system's tolerance. So over time, we can significantly decrease or even eliminate your symptoms altogether.
Patients start with a shot once a week, then taper off to once every 8 weeks.
Coming up, the dangers of fentanyl. See one grieving father's heartfelt message to young people in an effort to prevent them from drug use. Stay with us. You're watching a special edition of CBN News Watch.
Hi, I'm John Stolnis, host of the CBN News podcast, DC Debrief. I'd love for you to join me each Friday morning for the inside scoop on Washington politics. We will talk to experts, lawmakers, newsmakers, and analysts to help us take a deep dive into the important stories you might not hear anywhere else. Don't miss this unique CBN News perspective coming to you straight from the nation's capital, because truth matters.
Welcome back to this special edition of CBN News Watch. Just one pill can kill. That's the message a grieving father wants young people to hear before they take any pills from a friend or a drug dealer. Many of these drugs contain deadly amounts of fentanyl. They're often disguised as prescription medication, and they're easy to get online.
As a track star and honors student at Ole Miss, William McGee seemed on top of the world.
Oh, he was the best. You know, he was in youth group every week at church.
Beginning in high school and through college, however, William treated his anxiety with prescription meds bought on the street. After rehab, it appeared William kicked his habit. But after an apparent relapse, his father found William dead from an accidental overdose. David learned his son bought and took a pill that he didn't know contained a deadly amount of fentanyl.
I grew up wondering, trying to get a picture of the devil, thinking it was this little person in a red suit. Well, my family found out what that devil is, and it was fentanyl.
He's not alone. In his book, Things Have Changed, the grieving father speaks clearly to other parents.
You have to start the conversation in middle school, if not a little sooner.
Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid that's up to 100 times more potent than morphine. In fact, it's so powerful, only a speck, just 2 milligrams, can kill. These days, drug dealers often add a little fentanyl to make their products more addictive. The fake prescription pills can include Xanax, Adderall, Percocet, OxyContin, and more. Sadly, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency found that of all the fentanyl-laced counterfeit pills they seized, 60% contained deadly amounts of the drug. That's why kids, even as young as middle school, who get their hands on these pills have overdosed in Texas, Virginia, and elsewhere.
You have to help them understand that, you know, if you take a pill, it needs to come from your doctor and your pharmacy.
The National Institute on Drug Abuse has monitored illicit drug use among middle school children for more than 40 years. Current director Dr. Nora Volko calls it a good news, bad news scenario. On one hand, the number of middle schoolers doing drugs is lower than in previous years, although those using face a much greater risk of death than in the past.
We have never seen a situation where the drugs in the illicit market actually were as dangerous as what we've been observing in the past 3 years.
And virtually all deaths are accidental.
We're seeing so many people dying from overdoses and people without even knowing that they were consuming fentanyl.
Technology has a major impact in making today's drug trade more prevalent. Now, when kids buy so-called street drugs, they don't have to meet a dealer in some random alley.
There's so many lies of the enemy from Satan who want to take away our kids and take them captive. And we do have a very hard and important role as parents right now.
Today, kids typically buy drugs on their phones right under their parents' noses.
But because social media connects everybody and makes it so easy, especially on apps like Snapchat, when these conversations automatically disappear, there's no record.
The pills are then usually dropped off even on the front doorstep, disguised, for instance, as a food delivery.
Kids should not have full access to social media on their smartphones or even from home computers at those young ages. Brave Parenting stands by 16.
Psychologists say middle school is an age where kids begin experiencing tremendous emotional changes, adding that teens who take drugs usually do so to feel something different.
It might be that they take it to have some sort of high or calming effect. Kids will take it sometimes to party all night or stay up all night, and be online when their friends are online in the middle of the night.
Experts recommend parents talk to their kids about their emotions and needs, then explain that if the child wants medication, there's a right way and a wrong way to get it.
So hearing about it in a way where maybe it's prescribed versus, the ones where you get it not prescribed, where it's very, very dangerous. And so kids might come at it from a point of, I need this emotionally. I'm scared to go to my parents.
While kids as young as middle school may be tempted to use potentially deadly drugs, parents and others must step in, engage, and help guide them through these often tumultuous years.
Look up from our own phones and engage with our children in important ways, teaching them and showing them that just because the world is this way doesn't mean we as Christians are going to engage the same way.
Still ahead, see a new tool that can help fight against heart disease. Stay with us. You're watching a special edition of CBN News Watch. Welcome back to this special edition of CBN News Watch. Heart disease remains America's #1 cause of death, claiming 1 out of every 5 lives lost. But doctors say many of these deaths are preventable if we make certain changes to our lifestyles, including a new tool in the fight against heart disease.
More than 200 million people worldwide take a statin drug because of its ability to significantly lower LDL, or so-called bad cholesterol. But up to 29% of statin users complain of side effects. Muscle symptoms like pain, weakness, and cramps are by far the most common, but others include stomach problems and fatigue. Patients who experience side effects often stop using statins, but now there are pharmaceutical alternatives for people who would like to take a drug to help lower bad cholesterol but don't want to take a statin. A new study shows bempedoic acid is effective and without the drawbacks some experience with statins. The Cleveland Clinic led a study involving 14,000 statin-intolerant patients, and the group that took bempedoic acid experienced significant benefits compared to the group that took a fake pill.
About a 30% reduction in major cardiovascular events and a 39% reduction in death from heart-related causes. Those are really big treatment effects. There were no more muscle-related difficulties with bempedoic acid than there were with the placebo treatment that half of the patients received.
Bempedoic acid did, however, raise a few red flags.
There were some side effects, including increased cost, but also some patients were more likely to develop gout and gallstones. But this is why it's important to talk to doctors about risk and benefits, not only with this drug, but with any medication.
In addition to bempedoic acid, doctors can prescribe a number of other non-statin cholesterol-lowering drugs.
Yeah, so one would be ezetimibe, which is a pill that you take and decreases cholesterol absorption in the gut. There are other injectable medicines that you can take that lower cholesterol by inhibiting something in the liver called PCSK9. And there's 3 different medications that really address that.
Recently, the American Heart Association announced the top 8 ways to achieve good cardiovascular health, like eating right, exercising, getting enough sleep, and keeping blood pressure in check.
Really, probably the biggest risk factor for heart disease in this era is still smoking. So quitting smoking is far and away the single most important thing a person can do. Fortunately, I think most people know that's the right thing to do and are either working on it or have done it or have never started smoking. So after that, the next biggest factor we pay attention to is cholesterol levels. High cholesterol is one of the real drivers for heart disease.
In addition to statins and statin alternative pharmaceuticals, some doctors recommend natural products to help lower cholesterol, like oatmeal, niacin, and red yeast rice extract.
Coming up, see the unique way one chaplain is reaching those in need. You're watching a special edition of CBN NewsWatch.
Introducing a brand new way to start your morning. Get your daily quick start from CBN News. A quick read on the important news of the day delivered right to your inbox. Stay current on breaking news, politics, and entertainment. Discover how God is moving around the world and here at home. Plus, get exclusive stories and daily scripture encouragement just for you. Stay informed. Go to quickstart.news and subscribe today.
Welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. Here in the U.S., there's a lot of talk about a growing mental health crisis. Some health experts say what we eat can help us feel better. Here are some foods that can lift depression and anxiety.
Experts say what we put into our body profoundly influences the way we think and feel. That's largely because of the vagus nerve that links our brain to our intestines.
These two organ systems start from the exact same cells in the human embryo. And so they are, inextricably connected throughout our lives.
Research shows mood can be improved by increasing good bacteria in the gut. Scientists recently discovered these tiny organisms play a major role in the complex system of neurotransmitters and hormones that influence the way we think and feel.
Sugar is the enemy of brain health. Sugar is pro-inflammatory, and inflammation is clearly associated with depression.
Psychiatrist Daniel Amen recommends putting down the junk food and embracing fruits and vegetables, whole grains, as well as healthy fats, which he says can lead to greater happiness and focus.
Brain and mental health, just like spiritual health, is a daily practice.
Doctors Amen and Naidu join a growing number of mental health practitioners prescribing healthy diets to their patients.
The way that we eat is not just about our weight or our waistline, but it's also about our mental well-being.
Dr. Naidu says her patients currently taking prescription medication benefit even more when they add healthy foods to their existing routine.
I would never suggest, eliminating or removing one form of treatment, because as a psychiatrist, I've seen that those can be very valuable and, in fact, life-saving to some individuals. So this is meant to really be an additional tool in your toolkit.
For others, the natural approach is enough.
Do you see people who are depressed and have anxiety and they start eating healthy and they feel so much better just from their diet alone?
I see it all the time. I will get calls and emails coming back to me saying, I'm feeling calmer, I am sleeping better. But people notice the difference, and often it's starting with that one habit that they need to adjust.
Doctors say in general, a healthy diet can help improve nearly all mental health issues. Adding a more refined eating plan can be tailored to specific conditions.
The stress from mental health can require hospitalization, which can sometimes make things tougher. I had the chance to speak to a hospital chaplain reaching these patients in a very unique way. Sometimes music can touch the soul in a way that words alone just can't. That's why one hospital chaplain adds sing-alongs to his routine.
All right, let's see if we can have some fun in the midst of all of this.
Reverend Christopher Kayampa uses his gift of song to touch the lives of psychiatric patients at the Ohio State University Medical Center.
We find strength mentally, physically, spiritually in all sorts of places, and music is one of them.
He chooses songs about love and hope. Patients can sing along with the lyrics posted on the wall. In addition to uplifting melodies, Reverend Chris injects humor into the sessions.
Everything will be just fine. Everything will be all right. And that's about the time my arm falls off.
His father, grandfather, and 4 uncles all served as pastors, but not like this.
Falling in love with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
There you go.
One of Reverend Chris's favorites, Lean on Me, has become his theme song.
Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. But it's such a cool song because it doesn't say, I'm wonderful, I'm perfect, or I'm a nobody. It just says, I'm here for you if you need me.
Mental patients often feel isolated, and Chris feels music can help break down those invisible barriers.
I think singing is a way of just putting people on an even basis, and just saying, okay, it's just us chickens here. Let's just sing a song.
And maybe offer a sense of unity.
It's about caring about the people, and when you care about people, they notice, they do.
So while talking and praying with patients remains a big part of a hospital chaplain's job, so is singing, at least for this one.
Thank you for being a friend, I want to thank you. Thank you for being a friend.
Well, that's it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Tell us what you think about the stories you've seen by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or talk to us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. We hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.